What if one moment in sports could rewrite an entire career? What if a player who was never supposed to be the hero suddenly delivered the biggest performance of the season? And what if that moment wasn't loud, wasn't flashy, but was powerful enough to leave an entire stadium speechless? Fans always talk about legacy, pressure, clutch performances, but what actually creates a legend? Today's story forces us to ask a simple question: how does one unexpected swing turn an overlooked player into the face of a franchise? And why did this moment silence everyone who watched it? Some people believe legends are born from superstar talent, highlight moments, and constant attention. But others believe legends come from the quiet workers, the veterans who grind, sacrifice, and wait patiently for their moment. One perspective says only stars change history. The other insists that sometimes the most unforgettable moments come from players no one expected. Today's story sits right between those two worlds. Because while analysts focused on the big names, one veteran stepped forward and delivered the most emotional moment of the season. So who's right? Are legends made by hype or by heart? Something happened recently that left even longtime baseball fans stunned. A moment so unexpected, so emotional, so quietly powerful that the entire stadium fell silent and stayed silent. No dramatic celebration, no scripted reaction, just raw, real history unfolding in front of thousands of people. Reporters didn't see it coming. Coaches didn't predict it. Even the player at the center of it couldn't have imagined how deeply it would hit. And now, a tribute has turned that moment into something far bigger than a highlight. What happened and why did it change everything for this player forever? Before we get into this emotional and unforgettable moment, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this, stories that don't just define a team, but shape a player's entire legacy. Because today, we're talking about one of the most powerful scenes baseball has given us in years. A moment where silence inside a stadium spoke louder than any headline or interview ever could. The moment Miguel Rojas watched his Game 7 home run become immortal. A big home run in a Game 7 always gets replayed. It ends up in highlight reels, on social media, and in fan debates for years. But very rarely does a moment feel bigger than the game itself. Very rarely does one swing carry the heart of a franchise and the story of a player who was never supposed to be the hero. That's exactly what happened the night Miguel Rojas stepped into the box and delivered the swing of his life. Most players grow up dreaming about a Game 7 homer. Kids picture themselves launching a ball into the seats with everything on the line. But Miguel Rojas? Nobody looked at him as that guy. He wasn't the superstar. He wasn't the expected hero. He was the dependable veteran, the guy who did the tough work that never made headlines. A leader. A glue guy. The kind of player coaches trust because he always does things right. But sometimes baseball gives you a moment no scriptwriter would dare create. That pitch came in high enough to challenge him, low enough to attack, and Rojas didn't hesitate. He swung with every ounce of focus he had left after a brutal series. The second the bat connected, everyone in the stadium felt it. The sound of the ball leaving the bat. The instant rise of the crowd. And then that silence. The silence of disbelief. Even the opposing fans were frozen. Rojas stood there for a split second, not in shock, but because he knew exactly what he had just done. Fast forward to today. The team unveiled a tribute to that home run. No loud music, no big ceremony, no flashy event. Just a quiet, meaningful moment. Rojas stood there with his hands behind his back, looking at the artwork, the engraving, the video, whatever form the tribute took. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. That silence carried the weight of his entire career. Years of being overlooked. Years of doing the small things that matter but don't get noticed. Years of leadership, hustle, sacrifice, and belief. It carried the weight of a season defined by inches, by moments, by heart. It carried the voices of teammates who trusted him, coaches who admired him, and fans who suddenly saw him in a whole new way. His silence was gratitude, disbelief, pride, and memory all at once. People around him wanted to talk. They wanted to celebrate, shake his hand, hug him. But Rojas stood still for a moment longer, just absorbing it. Because not every hero needs noise. Some moments are powerful because they're quiet. Sometimes the game speaks for you. Think about everything that led to this. Think about the countless hours Rojas spent working on fundamentals. The seasons where he wasn't in the spotlight. The trade rumors, the injuries around him, the uncertainty of his role. The moments where any player would question himself. Rojas never chased legacy, but legacy found him. And that night in Game 7, he met it head-on with the purest swing of his career. That home run wasn't just a run on the scoreboard. It was the answer to every doubt ever thrown his way. Can he deliver under pressure? Yes. Is he more than a role player? Absolutely. Does he deserve a place in baseball memory? Without question. And now that moment is permanent. His teammates said the same thing, that swing changed everything. Players who have seen thousands of home runs said this one felt different. Coaches got chills. Opponents immediately knew the game had shifted. Insiders agreed it was one of the defining swings of the entire year. And fans? They'll be telling this story for decades. So today, when Rojas stood there staring at his immortalized home run, he wasn't just looking at a highlight. He was looking at his journey. His story. The turning point of his baseball life. The silence wasn't empty, it was respect. The kind of respect the game gives only to a chosen few. You could see it in his eyes. In that moment, he was replaying everything: the pitch, the sound, the crowd erupting, the flight of the ball, the feeling of touching home plate. He was thinking of the teammates who got him there. The people who believed in him. The years of grinding, fighting, and staying ready. One swing carrying an entire career. Some sports moments become memes. Some become headlines. But a rare few become sacred. This one? Sacred. Not because it was the longest home run or the hardest hit, but because it was the most meaningful. The most unexpected. Pure baseball magic. Rojas didn't pose. He didn't force a smile. He didn't act for the cameras. He simply let the moment sink in. And that's why it hit fans so deeply. The emotion was real and visible without a single word. People who were there said even the air felt different. The tribute wasn't just honoring a play. It was honoring a man who earned every ounce of respect he has now. A leader. A worker. A fighter. And that's why the silence mattered so much. Sometimes the loudest moments in sports are the quiet ones. That Game 7 swing didn't just win a game. It didn't just change a series. It changed the way the baseball world looks at Miguel Rojas. It proved that heroes don't always start in the spotlight. Sometimes they step into it with one perfect swing. If you love baseball, this is why you watch. Because anything can happen. Anyone can rise. A veteran role player can suddenly become the heartbeat of a championship moment. One swing can rewrite a career. And in that silent moment today, Rojas wasn't just watching a home run being honored. He was watching his story being carved into history. From overlooked to unforgettable. From dependable to legendary. This wasn't just a tribute. It was a statement. Miguel Rojas is now part of the game's history forever. And the silence, the emotion, the weight of that moment, it's something fans will talk about for generations. Before you head out, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another emotional and iconic baseball moment. Moments like this are rare, powerful, and unforgettable. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.